Welcome back to A Stoic Plays, ladies and gentlemen, and this evening we are going to be stoically playing Stellaris, a new space 4X by Paradox Development Studio. You all, of course, already know this, but Paradox Development Studio is a European studio that focuses on grand strategy games such as Crusader Kings 2 and Europa Universalis 4, along with some other ones that I haven't played myself, like Victoria and Hearts of Iron. So the idea, what people were hoping this game would be, is a Space 4X that was very complex and very replayable, like other Paradox games. Many people have asked me, Marcus, are you going to do a series on this game? And right now, the answer is no. Almost the entirety of YouTube is making series on this game right now, including 3 of my friends, Daz, Tokshin, and Surreal. So I have no interest in competing with all those folks. Maybe in the future, when everyone else is finished with their campaign and moves on to other games, then I can try something once I figure the game out a bit more. But the game was actually released today. I've been playing it. I put about 5 hours into it. And one thing I think that might make it not so great of a game to watch in Let's Play form, and I haven't actually seen any Let's Plays of it. Maybe you have as you're watching this, so please let me know. But it just moves so slowly that it seems like it wouldn't be that entertaining. For example, I've, as I said, put about 5 hours into it, and I've only really gotten one war, where I took out one planet and that was it. So it's just a very slow-moving game. Things aren't happening constantly. The exploration aspect of it, though, is really cool, and of course the races are really cool. So, but this is not a series. This is just a Stoic Plays first look, because I've been enjoying it. So let's take a look. So I have started to learn the game using the pre-made civilization called the Commonwealth of Man. There are actually 2 pre-made human civilizations in the game. There's the humans of Earth, which we are. Well, I hope you are. Otherwise my channel has a much larger reach than I initially thought. But the other one is the Commonwealth of Man, and their story is that they were from Earth originally, but they set off in a number of giant ark ships, each holding about 250,000 people, and they used an experimental warp drive to go to these random planets out in the middle of space to see if they could be colonized. Only one of them actually survived, and that's you, the Commonwealth of Man. And can I just say for a moment what a crazy science fiction idea this is? I mean, think about it in real life. Would we really load up millions of people onto ships with experimental technology to send them off to worlds that may or may not be habitable? That just seems like a disaster in the making, and it doesn't seem like anything real people would actually do. But this is the story of the Commonwealth of Man. And of course I'm doing Iron Man because it's my first ever game, and I'm taking the good with the bad. So my first impressions, the UI is really cool. I enjoy it quite a bit. I spend most of my playing time in what's called the Galaxy map, which lets you kind of see your kingdom versus the others. Now this part here, what's weird is that my color is red, and so is this Beldros Dominion, so it's hard to kind of see our border, but here it is. And then there's the Bavi Cooperative, the United Sin Republic, and the Seban Compact. Now this little area here that's white, one of the limits the game puts on you, and this is actually very similar to Crusader Kings 2, where you can't directly manage that many planets. You have a limit. You can only manage 5. So if your empire has more than 5 planets, you have to give the rest of them away into these little factions called... I actually forgot what they're called. They're called...
screen lists the planets of...
I had the tutorial on because it's my first time. The sector. So you have sectors, and your sectors are run by a sector governor, and they develop the planets and just kind of get things going without you. I don't think they do anything militarily, although they do have a military focus, but I think that's just meaning defensive, protecting of the planets. They don't actually build ships. You still have to do that. So you can only directly, at this point, manage 5 planets. Now, I've only been in one war. I took over this planet of Vistok, which is inhabited by bird people. Let's look at them. There they are. They're bird people. They're not that happy. Now, what's funny is I'm a militaristic race that's xenophobic, But I couldn't find a methodology by which to exterminate these people. So I had to just kind of accept them into my empire, and they're really pissed off. Obviously, exterminating an entire race of people is not a good thing, but from a gameplay perspective, it would have been neat if that were an option so that I could then populate the planet with humans. There might even be a way to do it, I just don't know. I didn't even have to conquer the planet. I built assault troops to do it, but just by defeating their fleets, they surrendered, kind of like a casus belli in Crusader Kings 2, and I gained control of the planet. So I've been doing some things to try to make them happy, and they're slowly getting there. There was a faction that wanted to overthrow me. The
Factions tab provides
They have been reduced in power. They were up to like 25 or something, and now they're losing support. So we are the loyalists, and we're doing pretty well. We have most of the support. So the vast majority of the early game, what I have been doing in my first 5 hours, is exploring the star systems that you can, and once you explore them, you determine what resources they have, and then you do that with a science ship, and then you send a construction ship to exploit those resources. So the early game is really just about managing resources. You have to have enough energy and minerals to build mines to get you more energy and minerals. Minerals are pretty hard to come by, but energy so far I'm getting a ton of it, and I'm actually overflowing with it. I've reached a limit where I can't have any more. In minerals, I've researched technologies that allow me to store more of them, like mineral silos, but there seems to be, as of yet, no way for me to store larger quantities of energy. What else? There's different movement styles. Each kind of nation has a different movement style. I think there's 3 or 4 different choices, but our style is warp. So what that means is we don't necessarily move from one system to another. I guess that would be hyperdrive. What we do is we have systems where there's a warp station or a wormhole station. And those are the centers of our culture, and we can go to other stars from them. But for example, if I wanted to go from Yildan to Tadasca, I would have to go first to Visic and then to Tadasca. Or actually, I'd probably go to Aphris and to Tadasca, because every movement has to go through a wormhole. Now, you could theoretically build a wormhole on every single system. I just haven't been. I've only been doing it in centralized systems because, they cost minerals, and I like to minimize the need for that. But so the UI is beautiful. I just love this. I love this kind of overall universe map. I love how they just do the colors and everything. They finally got a system for 4X space control colors to look really good. It's similar to is it Distant Worlds, but better in my opinion. So Paradox scored a win on this one. Technology is a bit strange in that you just get 1 or 2, you're 3 to choose from. You have to pick one of them, and so you have all these different technologies that you research from these 3 fields. But I presume that each culture might have a different technology tree, but you don't get to really choose where you're developing your culture. You just basically have 3 choices, and you pick whichever one you want. And I always pick the cheapest one, so which means the less months it takes to research. So it's not so much that you develop your technology over time, it's that it just gives you a random 3 choices, and you look at them and go, okay, of these 3 choices, which one do I want the most? One thing that's been difficult for me to deal with is influence. Unlike minerals and energy, influence actually accrues very slowly, and yet the things that require it are very expensive. In order to, for example, hire a planetary governor, it takes 50 influence. To get a scientist for a science ship or to research requires 50 influence. To get an admiral for a fleet requires 50 influence. So there was a point in the early game where I was only accruing like 1 influence point per whatever it is, these are per month, I guess. And so it just took forever to get anything done. I had planets without governors, couldn't afford any. I had a science vessel I had to sit tight because there was no scientist I could afford to get for it. So I don't know if that's necessarily balanced yet, but the minerals and the energy seem to be working pretty well. The situation log is really cool. It's basically a list of tasks for you to complete. Now I'm running the tutorial, so there's tasks like, designing for ship, which I still haven't done yet because I see no reason to. The auto designer works perfectly well. It's not like you have a whole ton of components to choose from. I believe this culture that I am prefers lasers, so we just basically get better and better lasers. So you could theoretically design your own ship, and I'm sure once I experience the game a bit more, I'll know the value of that. But for right now, it just seems like letting my own ships get upgraded automatically is more fun for me. But, you know, then I have to kill space amoebas. There's random, like, floating enemies that don't belong to a faction, but they just go from one of your areas to another, and there's different ways for you to deal with them. I'm supposed to procure alien specimens. You can actually see where they are by these big orange things. It's actually kind of a pain in the ass quest, because a lot of these are so far away, there's no way you can even reach these star systems. And in many cases, even if you could, they're within someone else's authority. So this is a kind of quest that would have you basically needing to conquer half the galaxy in order to solve. So why they would give this to you right at the beginning, I don't know. I think they'd make it a little easier and put them on planets near us. Like, your scientists who request these specimens, how would they even know of an animal that lives here when we haven't even explored this star? That'd be crazy. That'd be like if someone here on Earth was like, hey, we need to get ourselves one of these animals that lives in the Andromeda galaxy. And we'd just be like, what the hell are you talking about? But whatever. I wish they'd be more kind of in areas that you can reach. What else do we got here? This is the diplomacy. I love all the races. Look at how many there are. It's just insane. And some of them are actual races like you that fly around and conquer area, like the Bavi Cooperative or the Allied Zakplot clans. But others are just random, like the Agrarian civilization are actually a primitive feudal civilization. So they haven't even left their planet yet. They're like medieval, and they are within my empire. So I have a listening post outside of their planet, kind of just, you gain technology benefits from it, although what a pre-industrial society can give you in terms of technology, I don't know. But you can't interact with them, however, in any other way. Although I'm pretty sure at a certain point you're allowed to maybe uplift them or modify them. Let's see here. Can I actually... Okay, I can't click them from here, but I can find them. So I believe they are in... Oops. Yeah, so this is strange. You hold down the middle mouse wheel. Like, you actually push the mouse wheel down and then move the mouse to move the map. It's an interesting system, but that's how it is. Okay, I think they're in... Where are they? Tadasca? Yeah, so they're in Tadasca. Riva Viva Flavia. So here they are. They are some kind of mammalian. They're like bat people. They're in the late medieval age. Okay, I can't communicate with them, but I could have sworn I could. Oh yeah, here's my... So yeah, so here's my observation platform who's kind of observing these people. And we can do aggressive observation, which will give us a lot more technology, but involves like basically stealing people and doing experiments on them. So I think that's kind of a fun nod to all those UFO abduction stories that we hear about. And okay, so we can try to elevate their technology, but we currently do not have that government policy, so we can't do it. Or we can covertly infiltrate them, which actually seems really cool. But we need to have a policy called Unrestricted Native Studies, and then beyond that, they must be in the industrial age, which they're not there yet. So theoretically, if we had the policy of native enlightenment allowed, we could help them along. Now, there's also a way that you can genetically modify them, but I have no idea how to actually do that. But yeah, that is a possibility. So from this contact screen, you can communicate with the people that you're allowed to communicate with. I get along pretty well with these guys, the octopus-facey Bavi Cooperative. One area where I think this game could use a bit of work is diplomacy, and I'll show you why.
The diplomacy screen is where we
So you communicate with these guys, and you offer a trade deal. And in some cases, like for example, this has to be a positive number in order for them to accept the trade. But let's say I want minerals. So you shift click to add 100, so you see how it's going down here. But then all of a sudden it jumps to 1,000. Now my assumption is this is either more minerals than they have or more minerals than they are willing to trade, but it's just funny how it goes from -13 to -1,000. Like, it'd be better, I think, if it said something like, oh, that's more minerals than we actually have, or that's more than we're willing to trade, or have a slider where it shows you the max amount of minerals that'd be willing to trade, and you can slide along that slider. So let's say I want to trade energy crystals to make up for it. See, now watch this. It's not moving the number at all. I keep adding energy crystals and nothing is happening. So the way I interpret this is that they have enough energy that they don't need any more crystals, but I have no way of knowing this. So I wish the game would just tell you. They'd be like, hey dude, we don't need energy, so your energy is worthless to us. Instead of having me sit here and go through the rigmarole of adding more energy just to see that the actual slider doesn't give me any benefit from it. And then you say our offer total, it says energy credits 0. So even though I'm offering to give them almost 3,000 energy credits, it's not worth anything as part of this trade. So the question I have is why? I wish the game would kind of explain that to you. It's really hard, especially when you're trying to do something else. Like, looks like I do have a research treaty with them, but if I wanted to get a research treaty, you know, I just want them to let me know off the bat, we will never accept this, or we might accept this, but you need to give us something to sweeten the pot, and then it'll let you know how much they want. Because otherwise, you're just wasting time guessing. And in some cases, it won't even work at all. So it's not the best. The next thing is the invite to alliance. I was thinking of this in terms of Crusader Kings 2 or Europa Universalis. And so I was like, great, I want to get into an alliance. So I got into an alliance with these people in order, not these people, but the Bobbies, in order to gang up on the bird people. But the thing is, the way this game works, if you have an alliance with somebody, if you are going to declare war on somebody, they have to buy in. It's like a vote. So they wouldn't let me declare war on these people. So I finally said, well, screw you then. I got out of the alliance and I declared war on them myself. But that's not how alliances are supposed to work. They could say, hey, you know, we're going to honor the alliance and we're going to fight alongside you. Or they could say, no, we're not going to. But the fact that I, as a sovereign nation, can't declare war without my ally agreeing to it is just, that's not how things actually work. You guys remember the Iraq War? So that's kind of the scenario with communicating with people. And then there's the planets.
The Leaders tab lets us hire
leaders. So we don't have any generals yet, but we have 2 admirals, 4 scientists, I believe, or 5. 1 for each science ship, and 3 for each research area. And then we have a number of different governors. So far, I haven't seen much difference between them. Like, a scientist will occasionally focus on a certain form of science, which makes them a little bit faster at that particular form of science, and that's fine. The admirals actually have pretty good ideas. Like, this one has aggressive, so the fire rate is +20, whereas this one has adaptable, which means they gain experience more quickly. For governors, I have yet to see anything really all that useful. My favorite is eager. It just means they're only 2/3 as expensive as a regular governor, which, considering they're all basically the same, I like a lot.
the government screen.
And then you have your government screen. Do you remember where it said I couldn't screw around with the natives? I'm sorry about the tutorial. Where I couldn't screw around with the natives because I don't have the right policy. So I could go here to native interference. It's currently unrestricted. I could change it to passive study or active study. Native enlightenment is prohibited, but I can make it allowed. And as of right now, I don't know if there are any limits. Like, I think my particular government form is a military dictatorship, so I think I can pretty much set whatever policy I want, and no one's going to care. So I think we wanted unrestricted, right? I mean, why would we... Active study. Cannot invade. So we can invade unrestricted. That's fine. That's where we're kind of at. Oops, no, I don't want to change that policy. Yeah, there's no real effect on my empire for what I choose here. Migration, primary species only. I actually like that because we're supposedly xenophobic. So it's very similar again to Crusader Kings 2, where you can change your government type. Well, you can do that here too. Let's see, we have 4 minutes left. What else? Combat is fun. It's pretty rare, I found, unless you're fighting random space monsters, of which there currently... Well, I can show you something here. So there's this place called Cador is outside of my land, but it's within my exploration range, and there are crystalline entities there. So we're going to send our first strike force over there. In fact, I think they're already going. Wonderful. So let's go up to fast speed. And they've made it. So you click on the thing and look in. Okay, there we are. Oh, we met another species. The Nejikstax state. That's cool. Oh, look at them. Such handsome fellows. Now, because I'm militaristic and xenophobic, I can either say alien scum, respect our authority, or both combined, basically. But I like to say respect my authority, because it's not as racist as saying alien scum, but it still gets the point across. All right, so these are crystalline entities, and they could possibly work us if they all game together. So you'll notice this number. This is the relative power of your fleet. In my case, it's 623, and these are 270. So I'm advanced, and I have... One of the cool things about militaristic dictatorships is you get one ship that has a different name of all the others, even though it's basically the same ship. It just has better hit points. And that's kind of like your flagship, and it's named after your leader. And I might need to turn the volume down at this part of the video, because it seems pretty loud. But you just kind of watch as they shoot each other, and you can kind of see from the slider how the combat is going. And as you can see, we're winning.
Situation log updated.
And once you've won the battle, there's debris floating around that you can then have one of your science ships go and experiment with. So anyways, I was talking about our ships here. So it looks like our flagship got destroyed, but you can have a flagship that is the exact same. It's like it's a destroyer, but it will be named after your leader, and it'll be slightly stronger than a typical destroyer. And planets, once you've researched them, or surveyed them, I should say, it tells you what they have. In this case, this one has 3 minerals and a resource called the Betharian stone, which I have not really found a good use for, except for you can build a Betharian power plant for each stone you have, which is kind of a better version of power plant. Not that much use to me, though, because I have ridiculous amounts of power. But so, say you wanted to mine this, you'd have to get a survey ship to first find out that you can mine it. I've already done that for this particular one. And then you get a construction ship to come over here and actually mine it. Although right now you can't do that because there's enemies, and as soon as the construction ship sees them, it'll fly away. So you do that. You exterminate the random enemies. And what's cool is the first time you meet these enemies, you actually have to research them. And then you get an objective. You could either research them further or have your ships destroy them to gain information regarding them from that. So, the graphics are really good. You know, the battles are enjoyable. It's not like a tactical battle or anything, but that's fine. And then you can kind of see the individual ships and how they're faring. Obviously, we're doing quite well. It'll tell you how many of your hits are actually hitting and how many of their hits you are evading. Now let's finally take these guys out. And in the meantime, we're going to bring our science ships here to research the debris. And we'll bring our construction ship. Well, actually, I don't think we can construct anything here because it's outside of our... You can only construct things in your own territory, so it'll tell you this planet is not within our borders. The interface is very intuitive. You usually just select the ship that you want to use, and you right-click things to see what's going on. Here comes our science ship to go to the debris. See if we can chase him. Not doing a very good job. There he is. Okay, he's actually going for this debris up here. And up here is just notifications. Alright, so we're exploring this, and you can always see how long something's going to take by sliding the mouse over this little bar. The bar will fill up, but it'll also give you a percentage, and it'll tell you what they're doing. This is really useful when you've set a science ship to survey an entire system, because you can be outside of that system, but just scroll your mouse over this line, and it'll say there's 6 planets in the system, and you've surveyed 2 of them, and you have 4 more to go, which is really helpful. And we won the battle. So now I send my ships back to get repaired, and they're going to warp to whichever starbase is closest, and then I'll upgrade them too, because it looks like we've invested in some technology. So we're just about done.
Debris analyzed.
Alright, so once the debris has been analyzed, you can kind of check and see what you got out of it. In this case, we got
Debris
15 points of
analyzed.
physics research and 5 points of society research in both of them. So that's that, folks, and we are out of time. So, yeah, Stellaris. I'm enjoying it quite a bit, and if you would like to see more of the game, there are probably hundreds of different YouTube channels that are actually playing it, and each person's a little different. I've noticed that all of my friends who are playing it, they're each playing a different kind of race. In fact, Toshin kind of made a joke, something along the lines of, why would anyone play the humans? So I thought, well, I'm playing the humans. But I guess if I ever do a series on this game, the idea that I had is to carry on from my Dominions for Ladane series, which was based on that Ladane mod by Pymus that were penguins, basically. And the premise would be that they conquered their world as these penguin people, and now they're coming into the stars with the goal of turning all of the universe to ice, or whatever. I think that'd be kind of a fun roleplay type go through this game, because there are penguin people that you could potentially play. So, yeah, let me know what you think, and let me know if you've played the game and what you think. Let me know if you've seen other Let's Plays of the game. I'm interested in that. I want to see how you feel it translates. If you feel like the Let's Plays are fun and engaging, or if they are, as I would think they might be, a bit slow. So once again, I am Marcus Aurelius. I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Have a good one.